Hey, well, today I'm angry because we're being squeezed. And the squeezing I'm talking about is, on the one hand, we're losing our income, and on the other hand, we're losing the purchasing power of our money. So let's talk first about losing our income. And I refer you to this New York Post article. This article is from November 29th of 2020, and it discusses the fact that nearly 1/3 of New York and New Jersey's small businesses closed in 2020. Now, it's a whole separate argument as to why big stores have been allowed to stay open and why small stores have been forced to close, but I know we all have our opinion as to what that's designed to do. Whether it's accomplished its design or not, it certainly has achieved the goal of destroying small business and strengthening large businesses simultaneously. So the first squeeze that we're referencing is the fact that our income is being squeezed. If you had a business, if you owned a building, if you were a restaurant or owned a building that had a restaurant as a tenant, you've been destroyed this year. What about the other side of the coin? What about the value of our money and what we're able to buy? Well, Thanksgiving, that was barely a week ago. This article from a source called Advisor Smith examined a cost of a Thanksgiving dinner, and they included foods such as turkey, vegetables, bread, green beans, pumpkin, squash, sweet potatoes, etc. I think the turkey was 55% of the total cost, and they found that costs for Thanksgiving this year were up almost 10% compared to costs last year. Now, we hear every day from the Federal Reserve about how price stability is their goal and how hard they're struggling to have prices increase by 2%. You know, the Federal Reserve coincidentally does not measure the price of the S&P 500 or houses or gold or Bitcoin. So let's talk a bit about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a measurement, in a sense, of what the value of our dollar is worth. The higher Bitcoin and gold go, the lower the value of our dollar. You can think of them as priced in terms of each other. How many Bitcoins per dollar is the same as how many dollars per Bitcoin. So what has Bitcoin done? Well, you can see that it just recently took out its high of 2018. It's back to $20,000 per Bitcoin. And for those of you who don't know much about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a semi-anonymous currency, if you will, that fluctuates just as all the currencies do. Now, you may think the dollar doesn't fluctuate, but it does, because it fluctuates in terms of how much gold it can buy, how many shares of the S&P 500 it can buy, how many Thanksgiving dinners it can buy, for example. And as we've seen, the amount that we can buy with our dollars is increasingly less. Bitcoin is up from 4,000 to 20,000. Another way of looking at it is the value of the dollar has dropped by 75%. This is just over the last several months. And of course, you would expect nothing less, because we've created so many dollars. Plus, we have the lunatic Janet Yellen coming in, apparently as Joe Biden's Treasury Secretary. And if you don't remember school mom Yellen, who I hoped we had seen the last of, she is one of a long line of Fed governors to whom the only appropriate action is to lower interest rates. And here we are again. What do you think lowering interest rates is going to accomplish? People who have savings are going to be further decimated. People who have assets are going to be rewarded, because assets seem to respond very positively to low interest rates, as of course they would. But the rest of us who earn an income, the rest of us who own small businesses, the rest of us who are trying to raise a family on a salary, the rest of us who are trying to buy a Thanksgiving dinner on the same income that we had last year, all of us are suffering, except for the 1% or 1% of 1% who own assets, who see prices increasing, whether they're Bitcoin or the stock market. If you are the owner of a large corporation, you've seen very little effect from COVID-19, except that your competitors have been destroyed around you. If you are an individual, you've seen prices increase. You've seen your income drop. You've seen your standard of living drop. You've seen your place in the world, your status in the world diminished. How much longer are we going to stand for this? The value of our dollar keeps dropping. The number of employment opportunities keep dropping. We are being squeezed literally out of existence. And if we don't speak up soon, it will be too late to wake up.